Well, hello everyone, Dan Hurd with Dan Hurd Prospecting here. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, welcome! I hope to earn your subscription today. I have something a little different today. It's been a long winter. Spring is here and I'm back out prospecting now. But over the winter, I ended up with a lot of samples of gold-bearing seams, gold ore, different rocks, different gems, all sorts of stuff that I wasn't able to process. So today, I'm going to show you the process I go to process all those samples, see what they have in them, recover a bit of gold and gems, and just have some fun. There might be something good in there, so wish me luck, and I hope you enjoy. So I'm here at my prospecting workshop, and I've laid out all of the samples that I have collected over the winter that I need to process. And many of them you will have seen me collect on video. For instance, here's some blue chip stuff that you saw in my video where I tried to kill myself by falling down a hill. There's some of the quartz seam from the new garnet claim I have. I have 3 buckets full of garnets that need to be processed to refine them down to just the pure garnets. This is an exciting sample. This sample here is from a new claim of mine. Here's a sample from a friend of mine, his mine. He gave me a sample to process and see what it has in it. Here are some of the samples of the quartz, the gold-bearing quartz seam in my dream claim. This is the stuff that the gold comes from that we're finding in the river. We have some serpentine that needs to be cleaned up and get ready for sale. Here is another new possible mine site that I am looking at. Got to process that. This one here is a claim that I actually let go. I let go. I have a big sample from it that I never processed, so I'm going to process it, see if it has anything in it, and if I have to, I will restake that claim. I know some of these have gold in it. Absolutely no. It's a case of how much gold, and then for others, it's a case of, am I lucky enough in my samples to find some free milled gold? I have a lot of work to go through today. I'm not going to show you very much detail of any one of them, just a little snippet of each and what I find. Hopefully, it's fun and something you'll enjoy watching. Some of these samples are very easy. This one I crushed over the winter just in a dolly pot, and all I have to do is pan it out to see what's in it. So, hardly even sulfides in there. A little bit of sulfides, but not very much. Moving on to the next one. Now this next sample, I really hope to find something in. This is a site I've claimed because an old timer told me that there's a quartz seam shedding free milled gold into the river at this point. I searched the claim and I found one very mineralized seam, and I've taken a small sample of it. Like this is from the seam here. It's just pure pyrite. For a small sample like this, I will be using the Cobra crusher that I've modified with an outlet port just into a pan here. Use just an angle grinder with my generator. I've got to break the bigger rocks into smaller rocks to fit in the port. Let's do this and get some crush. So here's some close-up shots of this ore with pyrites in it and a lot of rotted out sections of sulfides that have oxidized and gone away. So there we go, all crushed down. Crushing it down this way, it's all -1/8. There's a 1/8 screen on it, but the majority, the vast majority of it comes out at -50 to -100 mesh, which means it's extremely small, most of it, and will, liberate any gold that might be in there. So here's a nice close-up picture of what the stuff looks like once I washed off the mud and dust. So with about a cup of material left in the pan, I see that there are a lot of sulfides in here. Sulfides could be galena, iron pyrite, copper pyrite. They're the metallics that are in that quartz vein, and let's hope they're hiding some gold. So washing back the metallics, what do I find? And it looks like nothing. So in that small sample, there was no free milled gold. Doesn't mean that vein doesn't have it, just means in the small sample there was nothing. Now these pyrites could be sent off for a fire assay if I wanted to see if there is any gold locked up in the sulfides. Moving on to the next sample. Let's choose one this time that I know has gold in it. So this sample here comes from a friend's mine site, and we have processed some of this stuff before to find the gold. So this stuff I know has gold in it. We just want to see how much this 5-pound sample actually has in free milled gold. Okay, there we go. Nicely crushed. And I'm leaving enough of the sample again. If I have to send something away for a fire assay or do something else with it, I have enough that I can still play with. But that is a very nice sample. I'm going to break this right in half. I'm going to process half in a pan, but I'm going to save the other half to see how well the Sluice Goose Gold Drop recovers hard rock crush. One of the reasons this miner gave me this sample is he has a hard time getting the fine gold out of his crush, and he wanted me to see if I could find a better way to do it. Maybe the Sluice Goose Gold Drop is the way. Here's half the sample. Let's pan her down. Now here's what this sample looks like all crushed down. Far whiter than the last one. Well, we recovered a little bit of gold. We're going to save the 2 really good samples of gold ore that have lots of gold until the end. But right now, let's do something a little different. Let's do some gem sieving and recover some gemstones. I will be using the gem sieve made by Arbor Fabricating to recover the garnets that I collected during my video at my new garnet claim. I have 2 half buckets like that. Need to go into the gem sieve and recover the actual garnets from the concentrates. If you want your own gem sieve, I have a link in the description below with a discount code for Arbor Fabricating. They also make the world's best classifiers. Now, if you want to know the whys, what fors, and how-tos of gem sieving, I have lots of videos on my channel about gem sieving. I'm just going to show you the results today. There we go. Concentrated garnets in the gem sieve. There we go. I'd say that's good. Another nice little circle of garnets, but we're pretty much got them all now. Aren't they pretty? A billion garnets. These are the garnets I use for making my garnet grab bags that I sell on my website, www.danhurdprospecting.com. I put a whole bunch of these garnets in, I put some polished garnets in, and I also put a couple of larger garnets from a different site in the bags and sell them. If you want your own, check them out on my website. So we're moving back to gold now, and now this next sample really excites me because this is probably the largest gold we'll find for the day. You may have seen me collect on video at the Blue Chip Mine from the seam that has shown me the biggest gold at the place. Maybe not the most volume, but the biggest pieces. So I'm breaking out the big crusher for this one because there's a lot of it to do. Unfortunately, the output screen is worn through on the big crusher, so it does let a few bigger chunks through, but it still does a pretty darn good job of powdering the material, and those bigger chunks can just be run a second time. I'm really lucky today. It's the perfect weather for doing this. The crusher makes a lot of dust that you don't want to breathe. I'll throw a mask on or something. Do I have a mask? Yes, I do. It's the perfect weather because the breeze is blowing away from me. The dust is going to be created, and it's going to go away so I don't have to breathe it. That being said, I'm still going to throw a dust mask on just to help and just in case. This is not the right type of mask for this job, and the beard does not help things at all, but the wind's blowing the other way. I should. As the wind stops and it blows right back at me. I'll wait a second, the wind will come back. So the crusher has absolutely no output screen on it right now. It's worn right through, bent right over. There's nothing stopping any size rock getting out. This is the rocks that were 1/2 inch plus that made it through. So that's not very much considering we have, a bucket and a half of material and we got, a couple dozen rocks. So the crusher does a pretty good job, even without an output screen. Now to process this crush, I will be using the Gold Hog's multi-sluice here. I've got it set just with a garden hose at a very slow speed, very, very slow speed. And I'm gonna try to process this nice and carefully and slow, making sure I don't overload the mats because it's such a slow speed. But I wanna try to get every last little morsel out of that and see what that contained. I really like this multi-sluice. It's a very good product that Gold Hog makes. I like Gold Hog mats. I like Gold Hog multi-sluice. I like Gold Hog high bankers. Gold Hog makes good products. Most of them. Well, there we go. One empty bucket, one full sluice. Gonna let that just run for a little bit to clear off any extra light stuff it might get. Then we'll shut her down and have a good look inside. Well, I see some heavy pyrites up in the mats, but I don't see any gold. Let's hope when I pan it out, something more shows up, hidden down in the mats. After so many samples today, my water is getting dirty, 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 and lots of floaties. Come on, gold. Come on, gold. Let's see some gold. So there weren't any massive pieces, but there was some nice gold in there. Let's get out the close-up camera and have a look. Well, there we go. A few bigger pieces, and then a lot, I mean a lot of micro gold up there. But those bigger pieces are kind of nice to see. That's kind of why I like that vein, is it's got a few bigger pieces in it. Nothing wrong with that. As I was playing around the pan, I noticed a few more bigger pieces had rolled back as I was backwashing. So there's actually even quite a few more bigger pieces than I first thought in there. And still lots and lots of little stuff. Well, now that we found some nice gold, let's go back to gemstones. Let's talk about this stuff here. This is serpentine. It's like a low quality jade. It's actually the precursor to jade. If serpentine gets heated and compressed just right, it turns into jade. This is serpentine. Now, it's a lapidary rock. It's a rock that people use for making jewelry or carving because it's very, very soft. You can carve it with a knife. Now, we sell this stuff on my website for lapidary artists who want to make sculptures, carvings, or jewelry out of it. When I harvest this from the claim that I have, it comes out with very, very sharp edges. A lot of it fractures off into these little shards. And I don't like selling it this way because people are going to cut themselves, stab themselves, or have it break up on them. So what I do is I take all of my raw serpentine and I put it into my great big tumbler. And I'm going to put the entire bucket full in there right now and then explain it to you. That's it. Now, after tumbling for about an hour in the big tumbler with water and everything, all the sharp edges get knocked off, and any fractures that would, make a piece unusable because they break so easy, actually break up. Now once it's tumbled for an hour, I dump them all into this wooden trough here. I wash off all of the debris that has broken off while tumbling. All of the little chips that are flowing away get caught down there in the classifier, and all the sort of dust just flows right through. Clean them all up, and then I grade them. Then I figure out what pieces go in what size. So the pieces that come out then get sorted into different sizes. We have the small chips for people that want to tumble them. Beauties. We have the bigger chips for people that want to make cabochons or pendants, or maybe tumble a piece or cut a piece into some sort of jewelry or something. And then we have the bigger chunks that we sell by the pound for people that want to do carvings, or maybe they want to do lapidary work and they just want to slab up a whole bunch to do, a whole bunch of cabochons or something like that. This stuff here has been tumbled already. You can see all the sharp edges are gone. There are no loose fractures on it anywhere, and beauty, beauty, beauty color. So I tumbled one bucket already. We have the second bucket in there to tumble right now, and I've got a third bucket to do when this one's done. Well, here we are, day 2 of my sample processing. Had a bit of a rainstorm last night. It's really cooled off out here. But back to processing samples. This next sample is also from the blue chip mine. This is the leftover material from that crystal seam I found. Video from, 6 months ago or more, where I found a whole bunch of crystals in a seam, and when I extracted all the crystals, or most of them, there's a nice one, I left the material, cleaned it up nicely, but it needs to be crushed to see if there was any gold in any of that material. Let's see. There we are. I'm going to sample about half of that, see what's got in it, and then the other half will go to my blue chip mine pay dirt bags. Hard rock pay dirt. So the first pan had one real nice piece and a couple of smaller bits. I think I'm going to save the rest of that bucket for my pay dirt bags. Blue chip mine, hard rock ore, pay dirt. The next sample is just a small little sample, so I can do it through the little crusher. I was driving by a friend's claim, and I noticed there was some fresh road work done, which exposed a new quartz seam. So I grabbed a little bit from it. Don't worry, the guy is 100% okay with me doing this. And I grabbed a little bit from it. I'm going to test it, and if there's anything in it, I'm going to let the guy know. Well, I'm going to let him know one way or the other. There we go. Broke it up into pieces that will fit in the small crusher. Let's get crushing. Now here's what that sample crushed down to. I'll go pan it out and see what it has in it. Here's what this material looks like after it's been crushed and washed. So some nice sulfides in it, but I don't see any visible gold. So let's talk a second about hard rock sampling like this. You may have noticed that I keep doing these samples and coming out with nothing. That is not unusual. 99 times out of 100, when you're doing these samples, especially when you're only looking for free milled or visible gold, you're not going to find anything. It's that 1 in 100 chance that you find something that really makes all this worthwhile. More often than not, the gold is tied up in those sulfides, tied up in a way that you can't pan it out, you can't visibly see it, but it's there. And that's where smelting and fire assays come into it. But we're not doing that today. Let's find another sample. Okay, this is a sample you may have seen me collect also on video. This was my new garnet claim. But when I was looking for garnets up there, I found 2 or 3 quartz seams that looked very promising. That will be a big enough sample for me to see what this stuff looks like crushed. Here's what it looks like before it's washed. And there's what the crush looks like after the dust and mud has been washed off. And as kind of expected, nothing all that exciting in the heavies. But now, after 15 minutes worth of work, I know what to expect from that seam. I know it's not something that I want to spend any more time on. And that's what prospecting's about. Okay, this should be a fun little sample to do. I'm doing this one basically so people get an idea of what a copper ore sample looks like. Now, this copper ore sample, good chance has gold content in it. Whether it's free mill gold or not, I don't know. But I'm going to crush a little bit of this stuff and show you what the crush looks like, pan it down, and see if I get excited. I might put this piece up for auction, and in case someone wants themselves a nice chunk of copper ore. As I'm breaking it down small to fit in the little crusher, look at some of the colors that are coming out of this. Azurite and malachite. The green and blue staining in here. And there's some of the copper pyrites coming out. And here's what it looks like after it's been washed and all the heavy shaken down. You can see some of the green malachite and the blue azurite. And all of the sulfides will be down at the bottom. Malachite and azurite are oxides of copper. There we are. Azurite, blue. Malachite, green. Chalcopyrite, the metallic gold-looking stuff in there. And quartz. And here it is. Mostly panned down. A little bit of quartz on the surface still. But then mostly just sulfides. So this is all pyrites of some sort, all sulfides, mostly chalcopyrite, the stuff with the green tinge in there. The bigger pieces are definitely chalcopyrite. The smaller stuff could be a mixture of iron pyrite and copper pyrite. But I don't see any gold coming out when I wash it back. Just copper. So my next 2 samples I have to process in the little high banker. I've moved down so I have some water access and a tailings pond. And set up the high banker. I've got it going at dead slow, like the lowest possible water I can get through it, because I am still using hard rock crush, which is nothing but a powder. So we don't want, you know, huge amounts of water blasting everything through. Very slow running today. Very slight angle, very little water. On the blue chip mine, it has been crushed with a big crusher, so there are some bigger pieces in it because the big crusher doesn't have an output screen on it. So some bigger pieces get through, but the vast majority is a powder. This comes from the main seam that I've seen the best amount of gold from. This is the best spot I have seen on that claim. Maybe not the biggest pieces, but the most. Let's start running. And I am using Dream Mat for this. This is the first time I've used Dream Mat for a hard rock crush. I've used it at hard rock sites before, but not for crush like this. It'll be interesting. Well, there are a lot of sulfides in this run. This might be tough to pan out, but I guarantee there's gold. So here's the sulfides from that seam. Lots and lots and lots of sulfides. The gold in this seam is usually very, very fine, but very plentiful. I'll get it all together, then I'll bring the camera out for you. So there's the gold there. There's the sulfides. There's the gold. One bigger piece of gold and a whole lot of powder. And that's typical for that seam. There's a lot of gold there, but it's all extremely small. And the last sample of the day. Yes, I'm not going to get around to the sample from my dream claim. That'll be for another time. But this sample here, through the high banker, this comes from an old mine, a mine I used to own. I don't own it anymore. I had this left over, and as you can tell, it's been sitting here for years. I'm going to run through. It was a very rich mine. I assume there's a lot of gold in there. But that one's long since sold and gone. But let's see what we can recover. Now, when you see what's in this one, you're going to understand why I saved this sample for last. Look at that pyrite. That's not why. I'm going to clean up what's over there and then take some nice close-up shots of it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Before I clean it up and get it all in one spot, let's have a good look at that yellow smile. Oh yeah. And of course, as with so many different hard rock samples, there are sulfides everywhere. Pyrites. These are iron pyrite. Little teaser here before I give you the real money shot. There's a piece of gold in ironstone, iron pyrites, probably a pyrrhotite actually, with gold. Still not the money shot, but look at that smile. Well, there we go. We have two specimen rocks. This one definitely has gold. That one I think I saw gold. I'm going to throw it under a microscope and find out for sure. And then the gold. Yes, that is all weathered out hard rock gold. Recovered with dream mats in my home-built high banker. Absolutely love that kind of gold. And that is why I left that sample to the end. Because I knew it was going to be absolutely full. Now, luckily, I only processed about half of that material of that amazing mine site that I had down there. I still have about half of it to go, and now I know which hard rock material I am going to test through the gold drop. But that will be for another video, with lots of gold. Well, that was a long 2 days of processing samples of gemstones, gold ore, copper ore, silver ore, all sorts of stuff. I didn't get to them all. I think I have 2 left that I still want to do, especially that one from my dream claim. But that's for another day. I hope you all enjoyed watching me process all these ore and gem samples today. And if there was something that you could learn along the way, I hope you'll learn something along the way. Thanks everyone for watching. Big thanks to my patrons out there. Because of your support, I get to make these weekly episodes of Dan Hurd Prospecting for YouTube. If you'd like to learn more about supporting my channel, head off to patreon.com/Dan Hurd. Hope everyone's having an amazing day. I have a whole lot of cleanup to do, so I better get to that. So until the next video, everyone, bye. Ew, what a mess I've made. I'm gonna be a couple hours just putting everything away and cleaning it all up. Ugh, the fun part.